There's something I've been carrying with me for a while, and it's heavier than I'd like to admit, but it's this small truth, which is basically I thought I'd be somewhere different by now, and that scares me, and I'm also embarrassed to say that and embarrassed to feel like that. And yeah, I just feel a lot of disappointment in myself and the state of my life and where I'm at, and that isn't a nice feeling. When we're young, we feel like 30 is a milestone where we're going to be in our prime and everything has clicked and things make sense. We have all that we want, and we have these friends, and we have these plans, and we travel, and everything is just, that's going to be our prime. And here I am at 30, and yeah, I don't have any of that, really. I don't feel like I have or am at where I desperately wish to be when I was younger. And that's a really hard and sad thing to admit, and I'm sure a lot of people feel like that and relate, but for me it takes up a lot of my day thinking about that. But here I am at 30, and instead of clarity I have disappointment, and that's just the truth. I think it's not a dramatic kind of disappointment where nothing I have is of value, and I can see that I've done things that are, worth being proud of, but just a subtle feeling of, wow, this isn't really how I thought my life would play out. And there are things that I can go into and things that I won't go into because I can't, and things I don't want to go into that have played a part in that feeling. But it's just tough to look at yourself and be like, I don't really recognize the person I thought I would see. I don't see the person I thought I would see when I was at this stage of my life. So yeah, I find that really hard. Why am I not further ahead? Why is life confusing? Why do I still not know what I want to do with my life? Why do I feel like other people are further ahead of me? Why do I feel like other people are achieving more than me? Why do I feel like other people have clarity on what they want to do and are doing it successfully? All these questions just go around in my head, and every day I try to distract myself with plans and structure, and then I speak to someone, or I meet someone, or I see something, or I read something that shows me someone else has this sense of passion and purpose and clarity that I don't have, and then I feel like I'm running helter-skelter, trying to do a million things at once, trying to find a way to get to a place where I have that clarity, and not having that just feels very, very disorientating and very heavy and very confusing, very tiring. And it's pressure, and it's invisible pressure that I put myself continuously, and it's exhausting, and I don't really know how to stop, because stopping would just mean remaining where I'm at, and obviously I don't feel satisfied with that, so why would I stop? So I have to keep going. So the only way I know to motivate myself is to put pressure and compare and contrast, and that obviously isn't healthy, because comparison is, as they always say, the thief of joy. So yeah, where does that leave me? I don't think we talk enough about the shame that comes with feeling disappointed, the shame that comes with seeing other people settling down or getting married or having kids or getting promotions that you wish you had, and not having that, and having to still keep going and put on a brave face and smile and, oh hi, how are you, and yes, life is good, and people ask you what's new with you and what have you been up to and where do you work and what are you doing, and none of the answers you have you're proud of, so you try and avoid the question or focus on the other person and steer the conversation in their direction. But having to do that all the time, you come home feeling sad and disappointed and kind of like not wanting to see people because you haven't got anything good to say, and you haven't got things that you're proud of and that you're excited about, and that is not a nice way of living. And it's a shame of not knowing if maybe you messed up somewhere or you did something wrong, and are you to blame? If I hadn't have done this or left this place or moved here, I hadn't given up on this, or if I tried this more, if I had been more consistent, maybe my life wouldn't be like this. And that's a question that you can never have the answer to, but I'm wondering about it all the time. Where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong to get into this place, and how could I have avoided this? And I'll never know, and maybe I couldn't have. Maybe this is all part of the journey, and I needed to have this experience to learn, and eventually there's going to be a reason and it's all going to make sense, but right now it doesn't. And that lack of sense and lack of clarity makes it really hard to understand and put things together and make sense of it all, so you can make the right decisions going forward. Instead, I feel kind of paralyzed, and I feel like I can't really say this to people or tell people, because people would say, oh no, like come on, you've got this and that. And I know gratitude is important, but it isn't fulfilling me. I don't feel fulfilled in the way that I wish I was, and that isn't something that someone can explain away or give you advice to make you feel better. It's a feeling that I can't really shake or explain, but it's a true feeling that's really there. But here's what I realized recently. I think the pain and sadness I'm feeling is grieving a life that I thought I would have, that I seem to have lost somewhere along the way. And I know it sounds dramatic, but it's not. I think it's a quiet grief, and it's realizing that, okay, things aren't where I wish they would be, and I can't ever rewrite my story. Like, I am 30 and I have what I have, and I don't have what I don't have, and that's always going to be the truth of my 30th year, or when I turn 30 at least. And it's not to say I can't change my life at all. Of course, that's the whole reason that we live, is that we have agency and the power to make decisions and change things. But it's still mourning the gap between when I was a kid and thought I'd be somewhere and then getting to that place and not having it, and realizing that, okay, there are parts of that journey that went wrong and didn't go as I thought they wouldn't, and being sad about that. And I think it's also fine and normal and okay to feel that way. And I think having spoken to a few of my friends about it, they feel the same. And I think it's good that we can talk about it. But it is grief. And I think it's a pressure coming from an inner child and an inner version of myself that is sad about not actualizing his dreams. But maybe that inner child of me doesn't understand and didn't know what life would be like and how hard it is being an adult, on the challenges I've faced and overcome and the adversity I've gone through, and the things in life that knocked me down, and rightly so, and the things that I overcame and that I pushed through, and the things that I have achieved that maybe weren't on the bucket list or dream list of accomplishments but are just as important, just as valuable. I've kept myself alive, I've made good friends, I've made headrows in other things that maybe weren't as important to me as a kid, but I've done things. And sometimes there's a naivety in that inner child that doesn't make sense in the world that we live in, and I didn't understand money and jobs and the corporate structure and saving and travel and friendships, and those things are complex, and I'm still learning and understanding them now. So to think that I'd have it all figured out at 30 really is infantile and doesn't make sense. And so I'm trying to have a dialogue with that inner child of myself and explain that, look, it's not all bad and it's not what you thought, but it doesn't mean that it can't be one day, but right now it isn't, and that's also fine, because for a lot of people it isn't either. He imagined stability and I found resilience. He imagined success and I found perspective. He imagined certainty and I found growth. And maybe I'm not behind, maybe I'm just human. But I'm learning to realize and remind myself that life doesn't care about your age and life doesn't care about your number, and it doesn't matter when you do the things you want to do, as long as one day you get to do them. And giving up on a dream because you don't have it when you want it is, again, childish. Like, it's fine to not have it and decide that, no, I do still truly want that, so I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep doing that, and that is also fine. Life doesn't care about if you're too scared or brave enough to begin, even when it feels embarrassing and it feels late and it feels weird. Life doesn't care about when you start or how old you are, or what people say or what they're going to think or the way you do it. That doesn't matter. I'm trying to learn and do things without the pressure of the expectations I put on myself when I was 18, because that was so long ago. I'm trying to learn and make decisions without the pressure I put on myself from decisions I made when I was 18, because that was so long ago and I was such a different person then, and so it doesn't really marry up with who I am now and what I understand and what I know now. And honestly, it feels better and it feels right and it feels a bit more freeing to remove that pressure and timeline and that heavy disappointment that I've had this whole time. So I'm not where I thought I'd be by 30, and maybe that's the point, and maybe that's good, and maybe that's right, maybe that's what needed to happen. Maybe my life isn't late, maybe I just took a different path and I'm on that path and it's going to lead somewhere different. It's going to be more fulfilling than I could ever imagine, and will be a different story to what I thought I wanted to write, but it's still going to be a story that makes me happy. But I have to keep going and seeing what life deals me and what happens to find out. So if you've ever felt behind, you are not alone, you are not late, you are right on time for the life you are actually meant to live, not one that you imagined out of fear when you were 18. Well, thanks for being here for me as I figure it out in real time. We're not alone, and we're all doing better than we think.